Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for coming to Birth Your Vision podcast live. And I'm your host, Hannah Kukbuluyi. It's a pleasure to have you here today. I am joined by my wonderful guest, the beautiful Denise, and she's going to be talking all about stress management. She is an amazing coach. And we're going to have lots of conversation around stress management and how you can actually manage stress as a business owner. So welcome on board. The podcast aim is to actually provide resource for women in business and also aspirational women who are actually looking to start a business. This is the platform where we're able to actually provide you with guidance, support, and tips on how you can actually get started on starting your own business. And so, every week I will have an amazing guest who is a leading expert in business, and they'll be here to share some amazing, candid interview with trailblazing women every week, and they'll be able to share what it takes to have a long-lasting business while living life on their own terms and also overcoming personal and professional setbacks. So, welcome once again. And on today's show, on today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking all about Beat the Stress with my amazing guest, Denise. She's a stress management coach and the founder of Balance Me Coaching. Denise is a great coach, and many businesses and many entrepreneurs have been able to actually seek Denise support in terms of helping them to create a more happy, full, and obviously a balanced life. And Denise has been able to help so many people with overwhelm, burnout, chronic stress, and being able to support people, giving them the right tips and strategies. She is a certified life coach and also a hypnotherapist. And she has a fantastic, unique program. She'll be telling us all about that today. And I'm so much looking forward to sharing all those amazing tips with you. And she will also be sharing some with you as well. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking, quite a lot about the symptoms of chronic stress, the overwhelm, and, about burnout and how you can actually reduce your stress. So today's topic is about stress. We all get stress, especially some of us who are, running our own businesses. So as you know, every part of business has the potential to actually create stress. So whether it's lack of sleep, whether it's lack of sales, whether it's, you not getting the, enough support from your colleagues, or you not having enough funding or, structure, and obviously having a vision or a mission on your business, these things can actually stress you out. So coming here today, it's Denise who is going to be telling us how we can actually escape the burnout, the overwhelm, and to really focus on how we can work better as entrepreneurs. So welcome, Denise. Welcome, Denise. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a
You
pleasure
are so
being here.
welcome. Thank you. So where are you in the world, Denise?
I'm in a sort of mid-sized city called Barrie, Ontario, and I'm in Canada. So I'm
Wow,
across the pond from you.
incredible. So good to see you. So thank you so much for coming on. It's great to connect with you. Welcome to this amazing global platform, as we podcast remotely and, bring fantastic women to come and share, their journey in business and how they've been able to actually overcome setbacks and obviously continue to grow their business. So today we're talking all about stress. Stress is something that really affects so many people, especially those of us who are running our own business. So I really want you to kind of, tell us a little bit more about Balance Me Coaching and about that business that you do.
Well, the reason why I started it, because I was one of those entrepreneurs that I would work a lot of hours, and I did not give myself that time and that space to rejuvenate.
Yeah.
So my life consisted of work, 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 stress, burnout, sick, recover, and jump right back into the loop again. And so with doing this, I really want to help people worldwide and business owners and entrepreneurs to create that awareness that when
Hmm.
your body needs that break, it needs that break. And if you're going to push forward, you're actually doing more damage to yourself because you're getting into that fatigue mode. And when you get into that, you start making mistakes. So in the end, when you turn around, you might have to redo that project because you're so tired, you're fatigued, and you got lazy and you got, it's a horrible cycle. And I'm trying to help people worldwide to stop that cycle.
I love that. So there is a cycle,
Hmm.
and you're trying to help as much business owners, as much entrepreneurs to actually break that cycle. And obviously, you've actually experienced that yourself, working, not having a break. And now you're able to actually share some of those tips and strategies with us. So, Denise, tell us about, different ways that we can actually start breaking down that thought of overwhelm, that feeling of overwhelm, especially when we have so much things to do and we're not really able to kind of manage it, task by task. So to give us some kind of strategy or tips to be able to help us to manage overwhelm.
Well, when you are feeling overwhelmed and overly stressed, the
Yeah.
biggest thing is to stop. Take that, just stop. And whether you're going to go do a meditation, I love tapping, which is emotional freedom technique,
Yes.
sitting in silence, going for a walk, and just walk away. And I know when you're in that point, you feel like you need to do more, but actually what you need to do is turn it back.
Hmm.
And then what I get people to do is just write down the things that are on your plate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what happens is that even if we cloned ourselves 3, 4 times, it's impossible to get what we expect from ourselves done. We just put way too much on our plates. And
Absolutely.
once it's down in writing, take a look at what you've got in front of you. And you can either, and things that don't align with you or are not going to move your needle forward in your business, why are you doing them? It's
Hmm.
time to start deleting some of the things off your list. And also delegation, like things like, especially when you're starting out, you're wearing every hat in the business.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. And not only you're wearing every hat, you really don't have the experience to wear every hat in the business. So just say something, for instance, creating a graphic. If you're not a graphic designer, it's going to take you a lot longer than turning around and having someone else do it for you.
Yeah.
And then also there's things that you can group together.
Hmm.
If you're doing something, instead of doing things, for instance, like social media, it's always my favorite example. When you get onto your social media, set out a couple hours aside, but get all your social media done and don't let it trickle through your day. Get more focused. And those are big things, because once you whittle down that to-do list
Hmm.
and then take a look at it and see really, would you expect someone else to get that amount of work done
Yeah.
realistically? Because we do
Hmm.
expect a lot and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that doesn't need to be there.
Absolutely. I definitely concur with what you've said. I think being a business owner, um, having stress is definitely part of the whole management of business, and so it's so important for us to really know exactly what we're able to do by ourselves, and the things that we can actually outsource. And I hear you say, if you are not a graphic designer, it's going to take you longer time to be able to design your flyers and your poster for your business. But if you can just outsource it, that takes away time from your day. And, obviously that reduces more stress and you're able to focus more on your business, whether it's getting clients or maybe ensuring that you have enough sales. I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we focus on so many things, trying to be everything. And it's really, really tough. I mean, what do you say about that? Trying to do so much and be everything all at once.
Well, and there's a second part of that.
Yeah.
do everything all at once for everybody and then perfectly. And it's just what I really work with my clients is getting the pressure off yourself and
Yes.
realizing, for instance, what I do, and I love my new system and I've been using it for a while, is on a weekly basis, I write down what I want to accomplish this week and things that I want to do and I need to do. And then every day I figure out what I want to do that day. Because
Mm.
there's times where you're doing things like, for instance, a lot of us have to create content.
Yes,
But if you're
absolutely.
not in that content mood, it doesn't flow out of you. It takes a lot longer. You start getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So what I do is I have my list of my things that I need to do this week, and I pick and choose what I'm doing according to how I feel and what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
And it just takes that stress away, because when you're adding too much to your plate and you don't want to do it, it just creates so much stress. And that's a really easy step that you can take to just let yourself be.
Absolutely, indeed. Let's talk about chronic stress and chronic illness. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that for some of the viewers and audience who are watching us? Tell us a little bit more around the work that you do for your clients around that area.
Well, what I find really scary is that people don't realize they're in burnout until after the fact.
Yeah.
And the biggest symptom of burnout is your fatigue, your stress, your exhaustion. And because you cannot shut yourself off, you have problems sleeping. And because you're pushing yourself right to the end of the needle, you're having digestive issues. And a lot of times when you are living in stress, you're not eating properly, so you're not getting the nutrients. And I've seen some horrible things happen to people, and some of them can be long-term health issues. I know when I was putting myself in burnout, I always had pneumonia. So I always had
Right.
pneumonia. And it was, I don't know, one year I think I had pneumonia about 8 or 9 times. And, you really need to put your health first. And once you start putting yourself in so much stress, your immune system goes right down too. So everything that is around you, whether it's a cold or a flu, you'll get it. And then you can't fight it off because your body is just so depleted. And not only that, is that you're not, a lot of times when you're living in burnout or stress in your own business, you're not spending the time with the things that you enjoy doing
Yeah.
outside of work. Because a lot of us have that blended life.
Hmm.
So we need to spend time with our friends or go out and do some hobbies, go out and watch a show or watch music and get away from the work to keep either our mental sanity and our health.
Absolutely. I love the way you're able to actually let us know about, having a break, stepping out, and getting a little bit of fresh air, making sure that you're able to balance work as well as giving yourself a break. And you mentioned around the mental health, which really brings me to the next question, which is really about, do you feel, what are your thoughts in terms of why do small business owners often ignore their mental health? Now, not all business owners ignore their mental health, but some do. And,
Mhm.
why do you think that is?
I think the biggest thing is, one of the things is the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Because if our business is struggling, we have this notion that if we work harder, it will get better.
Right. Yes.
It really doesn't, because it actually can get worse. And it is that guilt that we create for ourselves that, if something's not working or if our sales are down, therefore we need to work more hours. And instead of giving ourselves the break and coming up with fresh ideas or coming back to sort of the workplace with a better attitude, more energy, we don't look at that, because sometimes we just start to panic and we keep going down that rabbit hole.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, what are the side effects of stress if it's left untreated? What are your thoughts on that?
It can get very severe. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to say anything here, but
Mm.
as you can, the worst. I mean, because you are depleting your body.
Mm.
And what you're doing is you're putting your body in fight mode. Okay. Like
Right.
just think of yourself when you're driving a car and someone cuts you off very quickly in front of you. That mode that you feel, you're
Mm.
actually living in that zone when you put yourself through all that stress.
Absolutely.
So your brain is not telling other parts of the body to heal. Your body is not digesting.
Yeah.
All it's in is fight mode and it's trying to keep you safe.
Right. Indeed. So when it comes to stress, how can we actually reduce it? What can we do? What's the first thing that we can actually do when it comes to stress to reduce it?
What I like to do, because a lot of
Mm.
times stress is very tied into how we manage our time and our energy.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I do with my clients is create an inventory and just like nutritionists would say to you, write down everything you eat. Same thing, write down everything that you spend time on.
Yeah.
And as I said, you go through it and see whether it aligns with you. If it, a lot of times we may be doing things that don't align with us anymore. And it's something that we could get rid of and free up that time for other things that are important to us.
Absolutely.
And also with the inventory is make a list of what's important to you. If it's important to you to spend time with your partner or your family, put them in your schedule. Because
Are you
that gives
sure?
you that feel good feeling. And it's just things like gardening, just implementing things, easy, simple things in your life where you're stepping away, even listening to a podcast like this one. Because when you're listening to a podcast, you're listening. You're not thinking about all your things. You're switching it up. And yeah, once you've got your inventory, maybe it's time to create some new boundaries. You know, s- Saying no to things that aren't important to you is saying yes to the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
And we've only got, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we need to make that work for us. Plus, we need the downtime as well.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. We all do. We definitely need the time, the downtime. Sometimes we are so much overworked, and these are the things that actually causes, the chronic stress as well. And I know that you've already mentioned it's important for us to have a break to be able to protect our own mental health, and we can actually schedule things in to make it less stressful, as well as getting others to actually help us. We can get a VA or maybe just outsource certain things that we can't do ourselves. And these are very great strategies when it comes to, reducing stress levels, which is really, really amazing. And thank you so much for touching on that. Someone just left a message and the person said, Mom, you're doing great. Oh dear. Thank you so much for that lovely message. I think that's probably your daughter. Um,
I have one more thing.
yeah.
So, with that, what I like doing too is that if you are working on a big project,
Mm,
chunk it down into bite sized pieces. So, and then once you're finished the little chunk, reward yourself.
yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be a huge reward. I'm not saying, jump on a plane and go to a vacation for a week
Mm,
unless you want to. But even when I'm working at home, I'll switch things up. I'll go make myself a nice lunch or
yeah.
pour myself a nice tea and go out. And what I like about doing that is that you've got to start and you've got to finish. And when you have those little bite sized pieces, after you finish, you have that sense of accomplishment as well.
Absolutely, indeed. Could you actually share maybe sort of like 3 to 4 tips on small business stress management, of how people can actually, reduce and apply your stress management tips?
Well, the biggest one I find is how you start your day.
Mm,
If you jump out of bed and you're on your phone, you're already in that fight mode.
yeah.
Because you're looking at news. Someone might email me because an order's missing or this is that's going on. So you jump into your day. And a morning routine doesn't have to be a long, dragged out thing. I know some people are there hours, but something that maybe is 15 minutes. If
Mm,
you're coming out of, the unconscious sleep, let yourself get into the day nicely. Set yourself up for having a good inspirational day rather than jumping into the negative right away.
yes, absolutely.
Another tip is just taking breaks, and they don't have to be long.
Mm,
As I said, like just say I'm working on social media and I finish doing Facebook stuff. Go for, sit in silence for 10 minutes or do something else or put on a fun song and dance or
yeah. Oh,
phone a
yes.
friend and talk, just something completely opposite and switch things up. You really need to, because when we focus on a project,
Yeah.
if you're writing a book or content, you cannot sit there for days on end and do it. You have to
Mm.
switch things up.
Absolutely, you're definitely right. I mean, I love the part which is, just to dance or just do something that makes you happy and just make you feel uplifted, which is really great. And I think just to add a little bit to those lovely tips that you've given, I think it's just about also remember what's going right. Sometimes we are so hard on ourselves and we always kind of focus on what's not going right for us in our business. And it's really about just focusing on what's going right and just being able to celebrate that, celebrating your winnings, and also to obviously kind of rank up the task like you've said, put them in order, making sure that it doesn't cause you any form of stress, being realistic with yourself, putting things in order, and just taking it as you go, so that way the causes of stress in your business will be reduced. And also to take breaks, like you said, absolutely take breaks. We need to have breaks so that we can actually protect our mental health and also focus very well in what we are about to do or what we want to do in our business, and also to take care of ourselves. I think some of us, we forget about self-care. What are your thoughts about self-care? We tend to forget that we need to put ourselves first. We need to focus on making sure that we are giving ourselves love, and we are also listening to our instincts, following our gut feeling when our body's telling us to rest. Sometimes we just want to get things done and just overwork ourselves to the point that we're not even able to kind of finish all the tasks. We're so tired, we're burnout, we're overwhelmed. And these are, just some of the tips just to add to what you've actually said. So tell us a little bit more about Balance Me Coaching. What really inspired you to start that business?
Well, I used to do event planning actually. And
Right.
event planning is extremely, extremely stressful. And I had a lifestyle, as I said, was burnout, crash. And to be honest with you, it was at the point where I didn't even have any relationships because I couldn't. Because when I was on the burnout or when I was on the working high,
Mm.
I was working 80 hours a week. And when I was crashing, I didn't really want to talk to anybody because I needed to sleep for a couple of weeks. And for some reason, I got into coaching because I found a lot of coaches just that I fell in love with. And they're, Denise, this is something that you should be doing.
Mm.
So I did. And yes, this is a niche that is dear to my heart because it's something that I did. And even now, when I work with people, I just switch things up. You don't have to go extreme, extreme, extreme. And even finding practices that work for you, whether
Yeah.
it's meditation, gratitude practice, name 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for right now. It changes you. Um, I have become a real tapping enthusiast, so I love my tapping. You know, as you said, just dancing and finding that these little things make all the difference in your life. That's what really inspired me to start Balance Me, to introduce other people that it's not hard to reduce your balance. It's having an awareness of what your limits are, and don't go to your limits.
Mm. Absolutely. What has it been like for you over the lockdown? How have you been able to manage your business during that season?
Well, for me, my business has always been online and globally, so it really hasn't changed at all. I mean, normally I would be working and then I would go out and do something else, but so I am more at home. So it's a little more difficult right now because there is no going out and doing something else, all that. Because right now, actually, where I am, we're going into severe lockdown. So it's really,
Absolutely.
yeah, because I do love going out or going for a nice walk on the lake, but we'll see what the future brings here shortly. But
Mm.
yeah, it's just switching things up, and that is so important. And being kind to ourselves,
Yeah.
as you said, self-love, just being kind to ourselves and being patient.
Mm.
And entrepreneurs, a lot of times we want things to happen yesterday. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, which is just not fair to ourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely. What is it like running a business online for those who are watching us who actually kind of want to start their business and maybe go through the online route, just like yourself? What advice would you give them?
Well, you have to be very careful and set boundaries because I know for myself, for a while there, I was completely zoomed out and I was doing so much online. And whether it be networking, meeting new people, dealing with clients. And the thing is, because you're not going to another location, so you don't have that time of travel where you can think and regroup. If you're driving in a car, you're going to listen to some music or a podcast. You don't have that in between time. And I've bounced from one Zoom call to the next Zoom call, and it's like I don't even know where I'm landing here, or is this networking? Is this? So it's setting boundaries on how much time you can spend online, which is really important. And for me, once again, I like switching it up. So if you're going to do stuff like that, take that hour, do something else.
Yeah.
Don't back to back with the Zoom calls or interviews or what have you, because that can get really crazy too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that you actually touched on that because I think so many of us have actually just felt so overwhelmed with being zoomed out, to be honest. And if we don't know how to manage that, like you said, it can easily make us feel very anxious and tired and frustrated, and obviously, have other stress issues as well, in which we do not want to have. What sort of tools have you actually found effective using as an online business owner? What sort of tools have you found as an effective tool to help you in your business as an online business owner?
Well, I'm a big user of Acuity because I
Mm.
can turn around and create appointments for different things.
Yeah.
So if I want to just chat with someone, or if it's going to be a long-term chat with someone, and what I love about it too is I can set buffers. So if I am dealing with a client, I cannot jump into something else right away. I need that space for myself. So what I like about Acuity is that, yes, there's a lot of neat parts of it for setting up your
Yeah.
schedule. And
Mm-hmm.
even things like if I want to do chats with people, like 15-minute coffee chats, I can actually tell it I only want to do 3 today or 3 on a daily basis. And that's all it will let people schedule, rather than, oh my, I've got 9 coffee chats today, plus I've got networking, and I got a client. And it's so So it's a great tool that I've used to all extremes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Indeed. I love using that as well. It's really helped to manage my bookings a lot more easier, which is really great. So whoever is actually interested in that, it's online. Just Google that. You'll be able to get lots of information about it. Also, tell us about your wonderful coaching program to help entrepreneurs to, reduce stress as well as overwhelm.
Well, I started coaching business owners and entrepreneurs with stress.
Yeah.
And what I found was that really coaching wasn't enough. So what I did was I increased the different modalities that I'm offering. Because what it was at the beginning, it was I would like to offer them this. So I was like going for school for this and that. And I did take the hypnotherapy and I have done the EFT work, but I wanted to offer my clients so much more
Mm,
because reducing stress is introducing practices that work for you.
yeah.
So I've partnered up with a lot of different modalities. Like I have um, a yogi instructor, I have a nutritionist, I have someone that does emotion code release, which is amazing, body talk. I've got a personal trainer. So what I
Mm,
do now is I look at what that person resonates with, what that person would find would work for them, and basically put the package together on an individualized basis rather than, when you're stressed out. Some of us have health benefits. It's not like going to the massage therapist and then going to the acupuncturist and then going to the chiropractors. What it is that you come into the program and all the modalities are intertwined.
mm,
So you get a really nice feel for different practices. Because we all, like for me, the last few weeks, meditation has just not been my thing.
yes,
EFT, or I'll like my dancing. But you need to find that thing that works for you when it works for you.
indeed. Absolutely. You're right. So, what sort of results do the clients who come to you, what sort of results do they actually achieve? What are the outcomes at the end?
The biggest one that I strive for with people is awareness.
Great.
Because a lot of times when you are self-employed, there's going to be times you're going to be working a lot of hours, and there's
Mm,
going to be times where you're working in stress.
yes.
And that's called flow. But if you
Mm,
stay working in that extreme stress, that's where things don't go so well. And, so basically, once they've worked with me, they create that awareness that
yeah.
they can use in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's not,
Fantastic.
yeah, it's different for everybody, but it's creating that awareness.
Absolutely. And I know you're going to be sharing some resources with us that people can actually go and download from your website. So, do you want to tell about the resource that you have?
Well, I do have a quiz, and what the quiz goes through is whether you're living a burnout lifestyle or a balanced lifestyle,
Yeah.
because there's different things you can do in your life that help you reduce your stress. And it's
Yes.
just great little tips in a sense. And sometimes you just need to tweak your life a little bit, and it
Hmm.
makes such a big difference. And I'm also adding, I do have a Boundaries 101, and it's
Great.
a cheat sheet, how to say no.
Definitely, that is definitely needed because so many of us we struggle to say no, right? So
Yeah.
that resource will actually help some of our listeners who are, struggling to be able to say no and able to manage that a lot better. I'm going to be leaving some of the links in the comment section so that it's accessible for our viewers, which is amazing. What sort of word of inspiration can you actually share with our viewers who are thinking of starting their own business right now?
Go for it. I love being self-employed and enjoy this stress because the stress sometimes is fun.
Mm,
But when you start feeling yourself get tired and
yeah,
fatigued and you feel irritated and you start making mistakes, that is telling you to take a break. And
absolutely,
it
indeed.
doesn't have to be a huge break, like a 10-minute break, or
Hmm.
do something else completely for a while and go back to what you were working on. but
Yeah.
it's really switching that up.
Definitely. So I definitely concur with what you said, and is about just going for it and obviously looking for support to be able to help you and guide you through it. And, that is so, so important. There's so many people who can support you, business mentors and coaches who have already been there before and are able to give you lots of tips and guidance to be able to go ahead and start the business. So, how can people actually reach you? Some of our viewers who may want to get in touch with you and perhaps, be able to see many of these services that you offer. How can they reach you, Denise?
Well, most of my social media is Coach with Denise.
Yeah,
So my Facebook is, Coach with Denise. Instagram is Coach with Denise. LinkedIn, I'm Denise Eckert. And then my website is www.balance-me.ca.
fantastic. I'll be leaving all those links in there as well. Any last words for anyone who is going through a stressful journey at the moment, and they're just looking for an opportunity to be able to get out of it? What is your advice for them?
Just take the time to breathe. And
Mm,
there's a really easy breathing technique. And it says breathe in for 5, but count to 5. Hold it for 5, count out for 5. Because what you're doing is when you're counting, you're not thinking of your problem that you're dealing with. So it actually takes you away a little bit for your problem and just gives you that, that distraction from your issue. And just listen to your body, because your body will tell you that, okay, this is enough.
yeah. Absolutely, you're right. Indeed, the body speaks to us, and we just have to listen to what the body is saying. And so, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I just want to look at all the comments. Yes, great topic today. Beat the stress. Definitely, I needed to hear this. Thank you so much to all our viewers. And I want to just extend my greeting to Denise to say thank you so much, all the way from Canada, for joining me live today on our lovely discussion on Beat the Stress. Thank you so much for sharing so much amazing strategies that are very useful for me and many others who are watching us from today's live podcast. So thank you so much, Denise, for everything. We are so grateful to have you here on this platform. And I'll be sharing many of your details and your contacts with our guests so that they can obviously reach out to you. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here, Denise.
Well, the pleasure was all mine, and I love what you're doing, supporting young or entrepreneurs, because it is a difficult thing, but it's worth it. I've been self-employed all my life, so
Yeah.
I love the entrepreneur lifestyle.
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, the whole aim is just to help women to speak more, to be heard, to be seen, to help them to amplify their voices. So, thank you so much for being on the show. And we'll see you all next week with another amazing guest. Thanks for joining me tonight. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye, everyone.